We're officially in November. We had the first round of the college football playoff rankings last night, and we now have a solid understanding of which teams the college football playoff committee really values. We also have an idea of the teams they don't really value through the first few months of the season. There are conference championship games that need to be played, but if the college football playoff were to end today, here is how the 12-team playoff would look. Before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I say this every week, but in case you're new here or you need a reminder on how the new format works, the 4 highest ranked conference champions will receive a first round bye and be ranked 1 through 4. The 5th highest ranked conference champion will earn a spot as well. After that, the next 7 highest ranked teams would be in. For the last couple of months, we've been doing this based off the AP poll, but now that we have actual college football rankings and they rank the teams 1 through 25 for us, we now have a better understanding of which teams we could possibly see crack the top 12. Now the good thing is they actually did this for us with the bracket, so it's going to make things a lot easier and it's going to make the graphic look even better. Now when you look at the top 4 teams, you have Oregon at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Miami at number 3, and BYU at number 4. Again, this is where things could get a little bit confusing, because if you look at the actual college football playoff rankings on the left, you would notice that Ohio State is currently ranked as the number 2 team in the country, but because they currently sit behind Oregon, who is number 1, that means Ohio State would slide down and be the number 5 team. Again, it's tough to have really accurate rankings at this point, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who wins the Big Ten title game. So if Ohio State takes on Oregon in the Big Ten title game and they win, well, Ohio State would get a top 4 seed and Oregon would likely slide down and be the number 5 seed. Something else that's noticeable is the fact that BYU comes in as the number 4 seed despite being ranked by the committee as the number 9 team in college football. Well, as of right now, that's because they're currently the highest ranked Big 12 team and the highest ranked conference champion. So if things shape out this way and BYU finishes the season as the Big 12 winner and they finish the season ranked 9th, that means they would be the number 4 seed and they would get a first round bye. Now when rounding out the rest of the rankings, essentially everyone drops down 1 spot. Despite being ranked 6th, Penn State would be the number 7 seed, Tennessee would go from 7 to 8, and Indiana would go from 8 to 9. The 3 remaining teams, though, would actually stay in the exact same spot. Notre Dame would stay at number 10, Alabama would stay at number 11, and Boise State would stay at number 12. When looking at the college football playoff rankings, especially with this graphic, they're not doing what I've been doing the last couple of weeks, where I do March Madness style, where I have the first 4 teams out, and then I have the next 4 out. They just have the first team out and the second team out. As of right now, the first team out is SMU, while the second team out is Texas A&M. Now, I say this every week, but Boise State is a team that we really need to pay attention to. Now, I know a lot of people saw they came in ranked number 12, and they just assumed that was their automatic spot because they're the 5th highest ranked conference champion based on this metric. Now, while that is actually true, if Boise State were to finish the season ranked 16, they are the 5th highest ranked conference champion, they would get that number 12 spot and knock a team out of the playoff. But as of right now, Boise State isn't ranked 15 or 16, they are actually ranked as the number 12 team in college football. So what does that mean? Essentially, if Boise State finishes the season ranked inside the top 12 and they win their conference, they are going to get a spot potentially higher than 12. So for example, let's say Boise State wins out the remaining games and they finish the college football season ranked as the number 10 team in the final college football playoff rankings. Well, that means that Boise State would actually be the number 10 team, not the number 12 team like a lot of people just assume. Let's say Boise State struggles the rest of the way, they still win out, they still win the Mountain West Championship, but they finish in the final college football playoff rankings as the number 14 team. Well, in that scenario, Boise State would then be the number 12 team where they would be knocking someone out. Again, I get it could be a little complicated for those that are unfamiliar with the new format, but Boise State can really make things interesting. Overall, when looking at these current playoff rankings, I think it's going to be really interesting to follow how teams like Indiana and BYU fare. For BYU, they're looking like they're the Big 12's only shot of sending a team to the college football playoff. Now, things are going to get really interesting if BYU is able to win out, but they lose in their conference championship game. As of right now, let's say they lose to Iowa State, who by the playoff committee's eyes isn't currently a top 14 team. Well, Iowa State would lock up a bid in the college football playoff. Now, how many spots would BYU fall? That's going to be an interesting storyline to follow. The same thing could be said for Indiana, who is currently ranked number 8. If they lose to Ohio State in a couple of weeks, or if they lose in the Big Ten title game, how many spots are they going to fall, and could they be on the verge of falling out of the playoff completely? I talked about it briefly yesterday when I reacted to the college football playoff rankings, but I'll say a couple more things in regards to how the top 14 currently looks. I think your top 4 is pretty spot on. I think those are the 4 best teams in all of college football this year. I think the next 3 we have with Texas, Penn State, and Tennessee, I don't think as of right now, Texas, Penn State, or Tennessee are top 7 teams in all of college football. But if I were to guess, with those 3 teams, I think those 3 teams can each afford 1 more loss, and they're probably going to stay alive in the college football playoff discussion. Whether we like it or not, those 3 teams have name value, and I think the college football playoff committee, they might value name recognition over truly who the best teams are. Because if we were doing this based on who the best teams have been, Indiana and BYU, those 2 teams should be ahead of those 3 schools. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say strength of schedule and all that, but if we look at eye test and what teams have done on the field, those 2 are more than deserving of being ranked higher. Especially BYU, I talked about this yesterday, but BYU has 2 victories over playoff committee top 20 teams. How do you have them ranked at number 9 as of right now? But like I said a little bit earlier, I think with Indiana and BYU, they're on the verge of potentially falling outside of the top 12 if they lose 1 game the rest of the way. I mean, would we be surprised if a team like Texas A&M gets in over Indiana, who finishes the season with only 1 loss, but they miss out on the Big Ten title game? I don't think we would be. The same could be said for BYU if they lose 1 game, but that 1 loss comes in the Big 12 championship. If Notre Dame wins out, they're going to be in. If Alabama wins out, they're going to be in. And if Boise State wins out, they're going to be in as well. So what happens if we have a couple of these SEC teams that are on the outside looking in, they continue to win out? I think things are going to get really interesting. It's also going to be interesting for a team like SMU, who's currently in the driver's seat to play in the ACC title game. If they lose 1 game the rest of the way, I think they're a guarantee to miss the playoff. But if they win out and they take down Miami in the ACC title game, all of a sudden now SMU is getting an automatic playoff bid. And in this scenario, depending on where things stand, they could be ranked behind Boise State, and Boise State could be getting one of those top 4 seeds, which would actually be pretty remarkable considering they're a group of 5 team and nobody expected them to make this kind of a run this year. But like I'm saying, if SMU wins out, they're essentially going to be a bid stealer considering Miami, they're not going to drop out of the top 12. At the end of the day, we don't have to really worry too much about these playoff rankings because it's all going to sort itself out over the next month. At least, I sure hope it does. A lot of these teams are going to be playing each other, they're going to be playing top 25 teams, and there are conference championship games that are going to have to be played. After we get all of those games, hopefully the top 12 is going to look a lot easier. Now, me personally, I'm hoping for absolute chaos. I'm hoping by the time we get to the last week of the college football season, there are still 16 to 18 teams that are alive in the playoff discussion, and the final playoff rankings are going to be really difficult for the committee. But as of right now, this is all we have, and this is how the 12-team college football playoff would look if the season were to end today. Well, that wraps it up for today's video. What are your thoughts on how the committee ranked their top 12 teams? Do you like how it looks, or was there a team that was ranked too high, or a team that was ranked too low? If there was a team that was ranked too low that should have been ranked inside the top 14, let me know who it is in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all season long, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that confusing YouTube algorithm, and it helps share the video and my channel with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.